So last year I did a documentary called Crash the Documentary. What you're about to see is footage filmed from last year, but I felt ill after posting all of this, so then I didn't finish it. It was supposed to be a whole thing, and then we could do Spyro next year. Of course we're going to do Spyro this year, but welcome to Crash the Documentary, Part 2. The Crash Bandicoot team racing, after that, the Wrath of Cortex was hit. Now, first people wanted a new Crash Bandicoot game for the PlayStation 2, and they got it. This game was the one that was going to change everything, as a Crash Bandicoot game can be on multiple consoles instead of being a PlayStation exclusive. Now, it was originally like that with the first 4 games created by Naughty Dog, but then everything changed and I feel like it was better. Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex being kind of linking with Spyro, the Enter the Dragonfly. This game was released on the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, the GameCube, and probably another one, but I've totally forgotten about it. So The Wrath of Cortex was basically going somehow, I guess, straight after Crash 3, meaning this game is canon, and not many people like this. As of this game was hard, it introduced too many mechanics at once. It did. The first boss battle, I will agree, I don't like it that much, but the rest of them are totally fine. Even though not bringing anything new, I still actually quite liked the game, as this is one of my childhood ones, and I ended up actually completing the game, I would say, twice in my childhood, and we're still going to try and do it on the Eddie's Games channel. But like I said, not many people liked it. I guess lack of originality, and considering that of the response that Spyro game got, people don't really like this. Just to mention that replacing the old boss battles, basically the intro scene makes sense, it does, because it kind of explains how Aku is feeling basically annoyed at Dr. Cortex and the other villains from Crash 3. So they are in this game, as of Cortex and Aku being in the final boss battle with Crunch. Yeah, Crunch is introduced to the Crash Bandicoot timeline with the Elementals also. Quite nice, I would say, as of Mark Hamill is voicing the fire one. So I guess that's good, and you're able to play Coco more like Crash Bandicoot, but some stuff are off, but Coco is a nice addition, and it would be like an inspiration for Vicarious Visions and Activision to improve on Coco in the insane game. I'd like to take a second to get out of this way. I want to go by this one by one, but unfortunately I don't want to waste your time. So I'm going to go by saying this, that there was iOS games, Android games, mobile phone games, and also like handheld games for your Game Boy or whatever advanced stuff that you have. Yeah, there were Crash Bandicoot games for that one of them being an XS game, one of them being quite new, one of them being some sort of a Spyro one, and there was many more, being like a Crash Twinsanity one, and there was going to be a Crash Twinsanity 2, Mutant Island, much more. But now I've got those out of the way, let's move on to the main console stuff, because that's what we're originally here for, aren't we? After The Wrath of Cortex, Nitro Kart was here. Nitro Kart was going to be some sort of similar thing to Team Racing, but changed some things up. Whether they changed the boss battles up, the story mode up, and also the racing tracks up also. And in fact, in the Game Boy one, you're able to play as Spyro. I have no idea how, Shishio. You can just do it, you can. Fake Crash also makes an appearance in this game, and the story from this is that you good and bad sides get transported to this big world thing, and you have to race, and if you don't, the world that you've been protecting gets destroyed. So they race and they do it, and it's all happy ending like any other Crash game. Now let's move on to the next one. I could sit here and talk days about Crash Trinsanity. Crash Trinsanity is another Crash game that people are saying was the last good decent game until the recent one in 2017. Crash Trinsanity was released back in 2004 on the PlayStation 2, the Xbox and a mobile phone. This game was going to change some things up. From that, you were able to, instead of being in one area, you can free roam and play as Crash, and in some parts of the game, Dr. Cortex and Nina Cortex, introducing another new person, and then also you get to play as Mecha Bandicoot at the end. Originally you were able to play as Coco, but they cut that out. They've cut so much stuff out, so I will put a cut content episode video in the description. I will, so you can go and have a look. But this one is amazing. I've beaten this, and basically instead of Cortex being the bad guy, the evil twins are the bad people, and they're basically here to destroy the whole universe. Bit different than Cortex, and good and bad team up once again to stop them, and then at the end of the game they return back to their usual places as of good versus evil instead of them working together. After that we got two other games that were the last ones before many years to come. We got the Bandicoot word actually went after the Trinsanity. We got Crash of the Titans and Mind Over Mutant. These two games were different ones, and they were kind of like a beat 'em up one, bit similar to the Legend of Spyro stuff. This changed some stuff with some new voice actors coming in to do some voice acting, and the Aku Aku person being, well, Trinsanity was his last one, you know, that guy, yeah. So it changed some things up. Now not many people like this, and people did like this, and that's how it's gonna go. They're okay, I guess. I don't have that much to say about them. They did introduce the two-player aspects, as of this was the games that were for the newer gen consoles that was going to get released, as you know, to the PlayStation 2, the Xbox 360, I believe one of them for the PlayStation 3, and also for your Nintendo DS and other consoles alike. Story, well, Cortex is the bad guy once again. Aku Aku is also in this one, and Embryo basically making an appearance in the second one. I don't want to talk about these ones anymore. So basically after this there was a gap. What gap was there? Well, the gap was that there was no Crash games, but thankfully enough I found this site called GameJoint and found that, oh hey, people have been making Crash Bandicoot fan games. There have been many Crash Bandicoot fan games, one of the popular ones being on GameJoint, Crash Bandicoot 1 for the PC, and also Crash Bandicoot Underwater 1 and 2, and also the Adventure one, and also one of them being by another Crash fan creator, Crash Bandicoot in Retro World. These games I've played many times on the Eddie's Games channel, and I will continue to play them. So I guess they're a nice addition to the Crash timeline. But then something happened. Yeah, we're talking about the insane game. We are. Oh, wait. Looks like I'm missing out on one. Oh, the Skyland one. Yeah, so let's talk quickly about Skylanders Imaginators, because I've bragged about it too many times already. Skylanders, this game is basically, it had Crash Bandicoot and Dr. Cortex in there as a two playable characters. I think Spyro was also in this, and there was a Wumpa from Pink Island level, and then there was a main story, and that's what I'm saying because that's not interesting to me. So the Ensign game was a game that was basically a remastered from 1, 2 and 3. Yep. It finally came with updated graphics for the PlayStation 4 and hopefully going to be released within like, I don't know, a year for the Xbox One. This game introduced new mechanics for the controls, same most likely. You're able to play as Coco within all the 3 games, and also there's a quick Spyro reference in this game, twice actually, at the end credits when there's basically no bandicoots were harmed in this. In the other one, I think no sheep were harmed. And for this one, if you go onto the warp, and if you go put that code in that you originally did for the old one, a Spyro code will come up for that one, but for this one it doesn't, but the cursor colour changes, it does. So hopefully this is referencing that Spyro will come back. But this game, basically, #1 in the charts for a very long time, and over 1 million copies were bought. How amazing is that? Now before we go on for anything else, this is a little clip from the Adisat Gaming Time Crash Bandicoot Timeline episode where I'm talking about Crash Bandicoot and the timeline, and also how it's involving some of the Spyro stuff and Skylanders stuff also. We have about the Spyro and Crash games. What I got from the timeline of Crash Bandicoot, I will put the link down below. I will. And if, for instance, if someone actually knows the proper Crash Bandicoot timeline, if you've done your research, then you may put in the link down below, or in the comments, or write it down like that other person did for the Batman one. Just want to let you know that that Batman Arkham one was to prove Slickmoth wrong about a selling skill for Rocksteady to sell more on the Batman Arkham games, saying that Batman Arkham Origins is not canon. Whether it is, because in Arkham Knight they talk about it, they do. Firefly talks about it, so get your facts straight, Slickmoth. I know you're annoyed at Rocksteady and Warner Brothers, but just get your stuff straight. Anyway, let's get into the timeline stuff. I hope that's not why it's not uploading. Anyway, let's start off with the timeline now. So we are going to look at Crash Bandicoot, bit of Skylanders and Spyro. Let's begin. Alright, starting off with Crash Bandicoot 1. In this one, we get to see Crash firsthand, we do. So he needs to basically go through different levels, defeating different bosses, and at the end he rescues this girl and also defeats Dr. Cortex with some bonus levels. Fantastic stuff. And then we get to see him talking in Skylanders Academy. We get to see. In this, there have been some leaked clips on YouTube, and well, let's say most people don't like it when their favourite Crash Bandicoot guy is talking, which I didn't mind in this one because we get to see him from being a quiet guy to be a guy that actually has a voice. So I thought that was quite good. Crash Bandicoot 2. In this one, we get to start off seeing that it goes from Crash Bandicoot 1, from Crash defeating Cortex. He's falling down to a cave and he finds the crystal, and then he manipulates Crash into helping him, and then at the end he finds out that he's evil, and then he defeats him, and then it moves on to the other one. Just to go back to the Skylanders one, that's the first time that Crash meets Spyro, or maybe it's from the future. Ooh. Just throwing that out there as a bit of a theory. And then you've got Crash Bandicoot 3, which continues from Crash Bandicoot 2. And on Crash Bandicoot 3, you get to play not just as him, of course. Well, you do just play as him. What am I saying? You get to play as him with different moves you do, versing different bosses, and it's all the same. But Cortex has teamed up with engine, and also it's basically this clock type of guy, and also Aku's evil brother. And they have decided to go through different galaxies and worlds to get different crystals, and Crash is the one that needs to stop him. And also the newest one, that's Crash Bandicoot Insanity Trilogy, that's coming out for the PlayStation 4 this year. That's also the same game, so that's also canon as well, because it's the same game. So yeah, I'm gonna, like I did with the Arkham stuff, I'm gonna put something around here, just going it by order instead of me putting trailers and stuff like that, because that'll take me a long time to do. Because I talk and I ramble quite a lot of times, so that's that. And then we got Crash Team Racing. From this, this is a racing game. This is that you get to play as multiple characters in a car, and you have to race each other to basically make sure the world doesn't get destroyed, and then you're slaves by this evil type of greeny monster guy that I can't remember the name to. Oh, Cortex is not the evil guy this time. He's basically one of the good guys this time. So that's how it goes. At the end you defeat him and he goes back to his world, and then it goes on to Crash Bash, where at the start we get to see that the two Aku brothers are basically talking, and Aku saying that this needs to end now, and then he says that at this place they cannot fight there, so instead they go ahead, split into teams of good and evil, and play out. Now there are two endings to this. You can have the good ending when the good guys win, or the bad ending when the bad guys win. I basically rather it's the good ending, because the bad ending is always sad and it's always And also we get to have a bit of a look that this is actually a world full of something, full of living beings that actually live there, and now they're just going to get killed off. And now we're going into Crash Bandicoot 4, because I can't remember what it's called. I would put it up on here, but I can't remember what it's called. In this one, basically, the evil boss has had enough of everything else, and now Dr. Cortex, by accident, has said that there is something new that he's been working on, as of a new monster called Crash. This guy is basically your boss throughout the couple of levels. You complete a level, you face him, and at the end you face off Crash, the evil boss guy that I can't remember the name to, and Dr. Cortex you do, because after all, a Crash game is nothing without Cortex and Crash. No, it's not. So, you defeat them, but there's an alternative ending like in Crash Bandicoot 3. You have to collect all the gems and all of the relics to actually get the good ending, to actually defeat them. And when you do, you will be able to defeat them, and then Crash comes home and sort of say the name, good! And now we're moving on to Crash Insanity. Now I had a bit of a... this is the part where the Spyro timeline comes in. And I swear there are more Spyro games that are actually in this timeline. But remember, Spyro has to deal with its own enemies, and Crash deals with its own enemies as well. They can't always be teaming up, because one world will be dying and the other will be saving. So, I'm going to declare this, that Spyro Hero's Tale is one of those longer games that might actually be linking in with Enter the Dragonfly and the first Legend of the Spyro game. Now, I might be totally wrong, but let's get into this. Crash Insanity. This one. Crash is back with the usual people, but you get to free roam in this, which is much more better. So if you get to play as Dr. Cortex and also Nina, which is his niece. In this you find out that there's a new enemy that's trying to destroy the world, and that's got Dr. Cortex's brain. At the end you end up defeating them with a cool epic level that I've done before. Fortunately I don't have a PlayStation until that game anymore, so I won't be showing it, sorry. And then they go off and eventually they actually do die by the hands of the evil Crash. Now in this, in one part of the cutscene you get to see Spyro, you do. Look, it really does look like that he's looking for his gems and that he wants to find them, and then eventually does find them by Dr. Cortex or this other bad guy accidentally saying it, and then he breathes fire on them, and that's very cool. So I'm suggesting that this is kind of like the couple of end of moments from Enter the Dragonfly going on to Hero's Tail, and then Hero's Tail is quite long. And I'm talking about the Spyro design of this. That design is actually quite longer than we already thought. Because if you haven't noticed that the Enter the Dragonfly and Hero's Tail design is basically smashed on together. And also another fun fact, these two games, Crash for Insanity and Spyro Hero's Tail, hopefully, it really does look like they were released within the same time. So yeah. And now you have got, I'm just going to put it hopefully up here, this other Crash Bandicoot game when basically Dr. Cortex is kind of the enemy, but you've got this other eggy type of enemy type of person. And it looks like Crash has had everything thrown at him, but now he's got this. His friends have also been stolen as well. I literally told her that I was filming. If you know from my main channel, I get interrupted quite a bit. I do. So, I'm pissed off. So I'm going to repeat that part again. In Crash Bandicoot, in this one, you've got this, basically Crash has had everything thrown at him, and you've got this egg type of guy that has finally come along to actually end this guy once and for all. But also some evil replicas have been made out of him, see I changed it. And he has to defeat them, and also defeat some other enemies that have also, that we already know. Now going on to Crash Racing, which I presume that's the name for the game. In this, another new enemy has come along, and you've been transported to a different world. You have to race. You basically race or die, and then you race, you defeat this person, and then you find out that this big guy is basically the same as all of you. So, now why does this one go ahead into the Spyro timeline? Well, yeah, again, they use the same design once again from Hero's Tail. In one of the versions of the game, you get to play as Spyro, you do. So, that's why I'm declaring that this goes into the Spyro's Hero's Tail timeline. Now, you've either got this or you've either got Legend of Spyro. So which garbage pile of a video game do you want to choose to go with? The Spyro Hero's Tail or Legend of Spyro 1? I guess you don't want to go for the Legend 1, don't you? Because the design has nothing to do with it. So can you please just watch the video and stop moaning? Anyway. And then the game after that, now I know on this source they says that he didn't really find that much that's not canon, but how can you not say this is not canon source links? Because to be honest, this one has the exact replica design as it was in Crash to Insanity. I know it was different from the other ones, but this one is the same. Now in this, a new enemy has come along once again he's basically stolen the hot old man's gem, and now these good guys need to go and retrieve it. They do, and happy ending, happy ending, happy ending. Crash of the Titans. This game takes a new take on Crash, which it seems like it's been a couple of years since we've now seen him now. In this, Cortex has come along with the same type of bad guys again, and he's developed mutants. So, what do you need to do? You need to go and find him, because he's also stolen some friends, and then defeat him. And that's how you do it. You got that other Crash game after that you have, where it looks like it takes a new take, blah blah. And then you've got Crash Minor the Mutant, which is kind of like the last one into the storyline, which is official. Crash Minor the Mutant, you've got Cortex back, and you've got these other people back as well, and the mutants are back, and you need to go ahead and defeat this Cortex again. Basically the same storyline. I'm getting bored of this now. Okay, and then you got this other Crash Bandicoot racing app game, which takes on the style from this. I haven't played it, so it's probably the same storyline as everyone else. And then finally, you've got Skylanders Imaginators, which is still in the Spyro timeline. In this, the new story is basically that Crash, the good guys are alright, but the evil ones have basically been into rough times as of well. It seems like most of the bad guys are either gone, missing or dead. Most of those evil enemies are either gone, missing or dead. The good guys look like they're still alive. I hope Coco's still alive and Crush. And well, how it goes is basically that you have to make sure the party doesn't get screwed up by this evil guy, and then the boss is Evil Crash. We don't get that much of a look from Evil Crash, but now we do. So, now there were some other ones that were, like, for instance, I had some trouble I did, like the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro Purple and Orange. That, I would say that's canon, but I don't know where to put it. And there were some other games that have been basically retelling the story, as of Crash of the Titans on Game Boy and the Nintendo DS, and Crash Minor the Mutant on the Nintendo DS. And I'll try and put them up on the screen right now, but most of these ones are non-canon, and also it's complicated, let's say. Now let's talk about the other Crash Bandicoot stuff. Now let's go about the Skylanders Academy episode. Crash Bandicoot's in this one around the time that this is basically Crash Bandicoot 1 Crash Bandicoot that you're seeing, because he referenced Torna and Dr. Cortex in this episode. Now, I only watched this video where I only had like the Crash Bandicoot parts in it, but basically this was the one that he was talking in. Now, most of us don't like it when he's actually fully speaking, but I didn't really care. So you had that for that one. And I kind of referenced that this is kind of like at the beginning stage of Crash Bandicoot, which is weird because then there's two Crash Bandicoots existing in that universe of the Skylanders one, and that Crash Bandicoot, his own one, that's him. So I'm guessing that's something to actually look up. Now we know he was in Skylanders Imaginators. We have no idea he's going to come back for the newest editions of games, but we should also talk morely about a game that was called Time Twister. Now, Time Twister, whatever, I just got that now. This game was one of the most popular fan games at the time, but basically is not in development anymore. With this game, it was basically going to be Crash Bandicoot 3, just like a mini version of it for the PC. A tech demo was released, but nothing after that was released, so how's that? Now the storyline with this whole franchise is different to Uncharted. Unlike Uncharted, where there's an emotional, gripping story with action, comedy, drama, adventure, all that stuff, this one's just basically fun, scroll-siding stuff with, well, it's just basically fun, and that's all I can really say. Ends the documentary. I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully this basically has got released on September the 9th, basically being the date that, well, Crash Bandicoot started. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Sorry if this got delayed, and I guess I'll see you on the next one. Peace.